Welcome to the Biz and Mayhem podcast, where we talk about the mayhem in our lives and how to get ahead in business and your career. This is Chris Batchelor, and I'm here with my co-host, Tara Parker. Let's get started. Hey, Tara, welcome to another week in the mayhem. How are you doing?
Well, I'm pretty good, Chris. How about you?
I'm definitely sore. I've moved everything I own to a new house, and I can't find half of what I need, but I was able to find my podcasting gear, so here we are.
Hey, priorities, man. That's how it's supposed to go.
Right.
How did the move go?
I have advice for... Oh, the move was fine. It took us 2 days. We got everything moved. We did it all ourselves, which was nice. You know, you never realize how much stuff you have squirreled away until you actually have to move it all. So
Right.
I realized I'm really good at Tetris because I can fit all the puzzle pieces together.
That's awesome.
But yeah, no, it was good, and it was a long 2 days. And I have advice for anybody out there that wants to get in shape. If you want to get in shape, you don't need to go to a gym. You just need to go work for a moving company, and in a couple of weeks, you're going to be like He-Man. So that would be,
Nice.
and then you'll get some bucks on the side, right? So you won't be spending on a gym membership. You'll be getting paid. It's a win-win.
But you're all moved in, all organized. Everything's you can live. Now you're
I can
living the
live,
good
yeah.
life.
So we've got the important stuff organized. I've got the kitchen organized, and the bedrooms are organized, and we're kind of working on the rest of the house. So it'll take a little while. But if anybody is planning on moving and wants a super good deal on moving boxes, definitely hit me up because I'm willing to give a smoking deal on boxes.
Nice.
We have many of them to go around.
So did you end up purging a lot of stuff? I know when people move, you end up finding things you haven't seen in a while and realize you don't need it anymore, and get to clean out some clutter that you don't even know is going to be clutter in the new house yet.
Yeah, we're on, I think, level 3 of purge right now. So I did an initial purge, packing, and
Right.
a bunch of stuff went to Goodwill, a bunch of stuff went in the trash. Now, I've got another round to go to Goodwill, and we've got a huge load of trash out tonight. And, I've got a bunch of stuff in the garage. So my rule is it doesn't come in the house unless we need it. And so that keeps it from going downstairs and getting swallowed in the black hole of the basement. So,
Right.
yeah, no, but there's a bunch of stuff I'm going to be getting away, either giving away or selling or whatever. So, yeah, we're gonna definitely do round 3 of purge very thoroughly. So.
Well, you'll find, I know, and after I moved in, I purged that one time, and during the packing, I purged another time during the unpacking, and then I just completed my first year in this house, and I'm doing another repurge and
purge.
Right.
Yeah.
And what's kind of funny now is I'm getting to that minimalistic attitude of I don't really need that. Just in case I move in the near future, like 20 years, I don't want to have to move it. So we don't know. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah, I think as you get older, you realize you don't need as much stuff, right?
Right.
It's a little bit easier to simplify. So,
Yeah.
I'm definitely giving away or getting rid of a lot of stuff that I've had for quite some time, and definitely don't want to have to move it again. So,
I don't blame you.
absolutely.
Good times.
Well, should we do some news?
Let's get into the news, see what's going on.
This is the newsroom.
Well, we have some awesome news tonight. It's kind of a miscellaneous show we've got for everybody, and not so much politics, but we're kind of like the king of random tonight. So
Fine. Take away my politics. What am I going to gripe about then?
I don't know. We can maybe gripe about politics at the end of the news section here.
But
Do you remember? What's that?
You got some interesting stuff in there, so something will occur.
I figured we've all been through the politics for the last year or so, and it's time to take a break and look at what else life has to offer.
There's 4 years of Biden material to get through, and it just got started.
Yeah, and then there'll be 4 more years of some other, and then there'll be either 4 more years of Biden or 4 more years of some other dude or gal,
Trump.
and it's just gonna go on and on. There's always 4 more years, so there's plenty of politics to go around.
Job security.
Yeah. So, do you remember a couple of years ago there was a meme that came out with the overly attached girlfriend? Do you remember
I
her?
might if you show me a picture. I'm better with
So
visuals than I am anything
she
else.
she became a sensation kind of overnight.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna bring her
Yeah,
picture up
bring her up
here.
on screen.
Uh,
See how this
Let me
looks.
find a good one here because you're definitely gonna know her
Oh no.
picture once I show it to you. Let's see. Let's see. This is well, I should have brought it up earlier. There's a video here, um, but it's it's definitely if you've lived through the what was it the 2000s, I guess is when this was big.
Which most of us
Then
did.
you most of us did.
Most of us.
So this gal's story is basically she became an instant meme overnight, right? And so let me see. I'm going to try and bring it up here. Share screen
I see.
and Google
You're,
search. There
you're
we go.
talking out
Okay,
loud,
so
just so you're aware.
yeah, I know. So you remember her? I mean,
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
this
I
is
didn't
the
know there's a
overly
story
attached
behind
girlfriend
her.
meme.
I
Yeah.
did not realize that's what that. Yes, I've seen this all over the place.
So you've seen her, right? Like her meme is just hilarious because it's just some of it's true, you know. Um,
I do
but
know people like this.
she became the face of the overly attached girlfriend kind of overnight, and I didn't know that it had a connection to was it Justin Bieber? She was a big Justin
What?
Bieber fan. So yeah, so he's it's definitely an interesting story, but there's a YouTube video. We've got a link in the show notes, and she basically explains how she became a meme, instant meme overnight, and kind of how it sort of affected her life, which I thought was pretty interesting. So
Oh
she
yeah?
actually became the meme, and then she started doing YouTube videos, and then she said she felt all this pressure to keep doing videos. And I mean, the first couple you do is pretty easy because you've got good ideas, and then material starts to run dry, and it becomes harder and harder to sort of keep up that same thing, right?
Right.
And so then she started to get depressed and all this kind of stuff. So anyhow, it's a really interesting video to go watch, and it's really poignant for anybody that sort of consumes social media or makes social media. It's really just kind of an interesting story, and it's a little bit of a cautionary tale as well. So
All right
yeah,
then.
it's definitely something to go look at there.
Doesn't she have
Um,
crazy eyes? Isn't that what you guys call crazy eye?
Yeah, she has crazy eyes. But what's funny is, she did the meme as a joke, right? And
Right.
it was because of one of the Justin Bieber songs, and I don't remember which one. But you can watch the video, and it'll tell you all the nitty gritty details about that. So,
Nice. I'm gonna have
um,
to watch
but
that.
yeah, she did it kind of as a joke, and then it was like the next morning she woke up and she was insta famous, and it was like the hits just kept rolling in. But she doesn't
Yeah.
do videos anymore apparently. But anyhow, she does talk about it, and it's a good cautionary tale. Like I said, it's a good one to watch.
I'll have to go take a look at that one. I missed it. I missed it.
So we do have a little bit of politics, I guess.
Do
You
we?
remember Mike Levin?
Michael Evan. I don't know anything
Levin,
tonight,
he's
clearly. Levin.
isn't
Oh,
he a
Michael Levine.
taco?
I think his
Michael
name
Levine, yeah.
Michael Levine,
I'm
Levine.
yeah, I can't
Isn't he one of us? Isn't he a
do names.
podcaster or some crazy? He's not
He's
as
a
popular as
talk
we are.
show.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he's a talk show host. But basically what he's saying is, oh, and they always got a video to play here, so we'll stop that. Um,
Nice.
Basically he's saying that the COVID lockdowns, have some um,
Negative impact.
consequences
Uh-huh.
beyond. Yeah, they have an unintended consequence beyond, just locking everybody down, right?
Right.
So what we're seeing now is substance abuse is spiking. And they think that's going to continue on for decades because once you start a substance abuse habit, it continues on for a long time.
It can.
I've seen other reports where things like suicides are up way off the charts right now, and that's a big issue. So yeah, we're definitely we're going to be probably hearing about this lockdown long after the lockdown kind of disappears, right?
Well, I think you'll have a whole generation. This will become a generational category, just like baby boomers were the result of at the end of the World War II, and people were coming home, and then 9 months later,
Right.
there'd be a whole new slew population of people, and so I think you will hear about the COVIDians will probably be the name of the generation that
You
sticks. The
think what they're
COVIDians.
going to call it?
Well, I think they will have some sort of generation, like this will become sort of generational definition.
Oh, there
You
goes
know,
our internet. Okay.
oh no, your internet or mine, because mine's up.
Yep. We both blanked out there for a second.
Oh
Yeah, I don't
no.
know. It'll be interesting to see sort of, what everybody calls this in 10, 15 years, but it's definitely going to change how this generation and how generations to come sort of do things. So,
Right.
uh,
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Things like this don't tend to just fade away in the distance, and we don't know the long-term effects of this virus just yet. I'm starting to. I have a family member who had this virus back.
right.
Oh, I don't know. Back earlier this year, he has Down syndrome, and he's got some other issues
No,
that are now stemming, and they don't know if he's more susceptible to certain things now because of the COVID or what. But
right.
we just don't know if there's any long-term effects. I think while we may have the cure-all, so to speak, the vaccination, I don't think we're done hearing about this in the news at all. I still think it's a media forward thing, but
Well, yeah, it
here,
certainly is very well covered. We'll say that.
that's the way to put it. I appreciate that
Yeah.
way of putting it.
All right, back to something happy.
Happy.
So we all want to. We all, we're both parents, right? And we
Aw.
definitely want to raise inspired kids. And so this has made the round on the interwebs a couple of times. But this is a Navy SEAL commander giving a speech, and I think it's a commencement speech. And
Yep.
his advice is rule number one is when you get out of bed,
Mhm.
make your bed.
Yep.
And that's the first thing that you're going to accomplish. And it's really good logic. He also says if you have a crappy day and you come home, at least your bed's made and you can get into bed into a freshly made bed. So,
Right.
so yeah, that's kind of a good article to read. And it's a good one to share with your kids too. I mean, it's something that's I think poignant for them as well.
Right, and I think this is the second military guy I've seen do a speech where this was the point of his speech, because that's what the military expects you to do. You wake up, the first thing you do is you make your bed. You immediately become a productive, contributing member of the military community by making your bed. And because unmade beds
Right.
are not okay, they're not allowed, and you can get reprimanded for that sort of thing. And like you said, there's a lot of logic to be seen in this, because you immediately start your day productive. Chances
Yep.
are you're going to continue to be productive throughout the day. You'll make better
Yeah.
decisions, and I
It's
don't think many
certainly
people.
something that you build on, right? You have
Yeah,
one little productive thing because it's easier to go the other way too. It's like, oh, I didn't get that done. Oh, I didn't get that done. I'm just going to lay
yeah,
here.
yeah. The self-fulfilling
That's a way to
prophecy.
not be productive, right?
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it's nice to walk into your room and see your bed made. It's nice to see it
Right.
nice and neat and orderly, and kind of sets the tone for the rest of your day. So yeah, I think that's great advice. Absolutely.
And then the next one I have here is have you heard about the mysterious monolith that they found out in the desert there? And was it
I
Utah that they found this thing?
I did. I've heard it's disappeared. Isn't that
It
right?
did disappear, yeah. So, but there was a really great piece that Southwest Airlines put on their Twitter because this thing kind of looks like those things at the airport that they use to put their road numbers,
Right.
Uh, so Southwest made a gag about it, but apparently there's an article here that says they've sort of figured out who did the monolith thing, and it's now gone. We're not really sure who took it or where it went. But
Oh.
apparently, other ones of these that are copycats have now popped up. So,
What is that
you know,
what's the sub headline? What is that? It's probably not aliens. Debate continues on whether it's a
it's a
McCracken.
McCracken. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious.
So, yeah, I think it's. I mean, this thing is just 2020, right?
Well,
Um,
I mean, everything is you can 2020 is going to become the next how do you put that? The next comparison. It's not a 2020, it's a 2020. It's so terrible. It's 2020.
Yeah, I mean, it's just going to be the new standard. But what I thought was interesting was, they said that they found this thing in Utah, and they found it near some really unique rock formations, and then they didn't tell anybody where it was because they wanted to kind of keep looky-loos from going out there. And then within hours, a couple of people on Google Maps figured out the location of this thing, right? So
Oh
it's just
my
amazing,
gosh. That's
what when you crowdsource something, how fast you can solve a problem. But
ugh,
yeah, so this thing disappeared. There was originally some speculation that it was left over from a movie set, and then it was well, maybe it's an artist that there's a couple of artists out there that do sort of art installations in sort of out of the way
right.
places, and I think that's what it turned out to be. Um, but yeah, certainly interesting thing to follow for 2020, right? Just another 2020 thing.
So what we're saying is
So.
it's been removed and 2020 didn't go away. So it's not the key to 2020. That's what I'm hearing you say.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot,
But you,
folks. You guys screwed up again.
yeah. Right.
You have
So,
the right marker. Look,
yeah.
do better, focus.
So, hey, have you ever just had a bad day or, a bad week?
No, I'm special. I've never had a bad anything.
I know you are, right? No, I mean, that happens to all of us, right? We have a bad
Right.
day or a bad week. Even, I mean, like a bad year. Like, I think everybody's almost
Had a
having a
bad
bad
year.
year, right?
Right.
So, but have you ever had such a bad day that you woke up in a different country from where you went to sleep unintentionally?
I'm gonna say no that I can recollect.
Well, apparently
No.
this is a thing that
What?
people are getting drunk, right? And then they're waking up in a different country. So
Wow.
apparently this is a thing. I think this is probably more common over in Europe where the countries are much smaller.
Well,
But I can certainly see it.
closer. We're a whole country and we're surrounded by, we can't just walk over the state line and be in a country. These people can.
Right.
They can
Yeah,
easily
I think over here be wake up drunk in a different state, right?
state.
It's kind of the same thing, but yeah. So this
What?
article talks about how it's bizarrely common, and so then they have a bunch of these stories. So that's a good entertainment to go watch.
How do you
Definitely.
find this stuff? How do you find this?
I tell you, this episode is the king of random
Oh
right
my
here.
gosh. So these
We
people,
are on the random roll.
so I mean, I'm sensitive to drinking. So a couple of drinks and the next morning I'm waking up as though I had a really good time last night, when in all actuality, I felt nothing, drove home and disappointed because the next morning I know it's like crap. I crossed
Yeah.
the threshold.
Yeah.
I crossed the streams. I'm screwed tomorrow.
Yeah.
Most people can go out dance on the bar stool and be like, I'm having a great day after drinking all night long.
Yeah.
How do you get to the point where you don't know what you are? I mean, I've seen some blackout things before, but how do you get to that point where you just hop country lines? Like
I
you
don't
become an
know.
international drunk overnight. Like
That is definitely pushing the boundaries there.
I need to
So,
hang out with those
uh,
people. That's what I'm
right?
missing in my life, is those kinds
W-
of people that can party like that.
Maybe we need to make a show. I'll bring my camera. We go interview them. We'll put a whole docu series together on it. That people who woke up drunk in different countries and
We need
how
to
they
find
got
these
there.
people. We need it. Let's start
Right?
with the state to staters, and then we'll move to the international
Yeah.
version. Let's start small and work up
Or start small.
big.
Oh man. All right. So I know you like emotional intelligence, right? That's one of your favorite buzzwords,
I
EQ, right?
buzzwords. It's a thing, Chris. It's not a buzzword. Yes,
It's a
I actually.
buzzword. It's totally a buzzword right now. Are you kidding
It's,
me?
no, it's
I
it's
mean,
getting more
everybody was giving
popular.
out. Do you even have that book, the emotional intelligence book in hand? I mean, I
Can you
know it's in
see
your
the
office
bookcase
somewhere.
behind me?
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
so
yeah.
many
Pull it out.
emotional intelligence books.
No. Everybody's got that little one that everybody was reading and giving away. Come on, I know you got it there. Is that it? Yes, emotional intelligence 2.0.
That's
I
from the
mean,
coaching books. Yes.
they were giving what in corporate America like that was, like candy, right?
Well, it's
I mean,
because the
that was
tests are
the
in there. The tests are in there, and that's supposed to give you
ah,
a metric. And I don't care for the
yeah,
test personally, but yeah, actually, there was a thing. I had to correct somebody today. They had that book was written by Travis Bradbury and Gene Greaves,
right.
and somebody credited Daniel Goldman for that. And this
Ah,
individual trains. So I was like,
mm-hmm,
so of course, I didn't go publicly to say anything. I was like, hey, by the way, da, da, da,
right.
da. We had a whole conversation about it. But yeah, this is a discipline of mine. And if the listeners out there who know me know this is I preach to until you're blue in the face. Forget if I'm blue in the face. I preach till you're blue in the face about it because I'm a big proponent. But it helped mold a lot of my thinking. It helped me get better about things. So yes, I appreciate the buzzword. Thank you.
Yes, so it's a buzzword. Well, until I just want to know what's the next buzzword, because I mean,
emotional agility at this rate. Let me just tell you,
we're just coping. It's going to be wine and.
I need y'all to deal and move on. Deal and move on. Let's go.
Yeah, next thing. Well, anyhow, would you guess that Elon Musk has high emotional intelligence?
No, his tweets give away his ability to self-manage.
Yeah. So apparently, Inc. magazine thinks that he has
brilliant
example of emotional intelligence. So I guess to be fair, they're not saying he doesn't have it all the time, but he has an example.
Was a brilliant example. I want to know when that was because I've read we've featured him.
Well, so about him on the show. Yeah, remember last week we talked about the rocket that they were launching, and we talked about it looking like Wile E. Coyote's rocket and all that.
Yeah, we compared it to that and a few other things. What about it?
Yeah. Well, it blew up. It's what happened.
Oh no.
Yeah. So this article talks about, it says a $200 million rocket, and Elon Musk basically came out to the company and put out to the company that, hey, we blew up our rocket, but he basically congratulated the team and said, it was a win basically, and so they're saying that that's a good emotional intelligence example, and I think from a leadership perspective, that's probably the right thing to do.
From a leadership perspective, it's better than freaking out and panicking. Nobody wants to see their leader panic. If he could handle, that's not a good picture of emotional intelligence, by the way.
No.
So him being able to get the information, process the information, and come up with a statement. Yeah, there's some emotional intelligence in there, but it's not necessarily in my opinion, a brilliant example of it. I've seen this guy tweet. He's got some other concerns about himself that I think he probably needs some help with. I don't know.
I think it's a good example, though. In every failure, there has to be some wins, right? Because there's very few times where everything goes just totally wrong. I mean, and that happens, but in this particular example, they launched the Starship. It went to 40,000 feet, which was the highest test that they had done to date. That was a huge success, is what the article says. And then these rockets, are unique in that they come down and they land back back vertical. And technically, that part is really, really hard. There's a lot of things that can go wrong. And in this test, the rocket did, unfortunately, have a nice big explosion. So I mean, that part was a failure. But overall, they were saying, there's still good things out of this test, and what they're doing is they're collecting valuable data that they're going to refine. I mean, you have to remember the space program. NASA has been launching rockets for a long time.
Yeah.
And actually, if you go back and compare SpaceX versus NASA, SpaceX has had many fewer, rocket mishaps or explosions or crashes or whatever you want to call them, compared to the early days of NASA. I mean, they were just kind of
they paved the way,
crashing everything in the early days. So.
Yeah, they paved the way for him. I think in reading, what you just provided, I think he shows a really good example of limiting his emotional investment in the company. He's not freaking out, at least publicly, something like that, because those seem like necessary evils when you're in that kind of industry, I would think.
Yeah, I mean, to Elon, though, let's face it. I mean, 200 million is kind of like, it's like chump change to him these days, right? So
can you imagine?
I mean, right?
200 million today? Okay, whatever. What are we doing tomorrow?
Right. For him, that's like, I dropped a bowl of cereal. Let me just go get another one.
I'll leave that change behind. It's fine. I dropped a $200 million check. We're not going back for it. It's not worth it. Can you imagine?
I mean, at the end of the day, those test articles, a lot of them can't be reused, right? Because
Yeah.
they're instrumented up with for the engineers to collect data.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, in aviation and space flight, the first couple of prototypes you can't really sell to the public, or you can't use them for their normal mission, right? Because they're
Right.
not exactly the same as the final product. So at the end of the day, if they blow that rocket up, it's probably not that big of a deal to them because they're going to build another one anyhow. So,
Probably.
but
Probably.
yeah, I
He's got
thought that was
to.
interesting. I saw that, and
Yeah, we just talked about
went,
that last week.
oh, we have to talk about emotional intelligence anytime we can.
I love it.
That's the rule of our show, right?
Yes.
So. And speaking of space and stars and all that kind of crazy
Tell me
stuff,
you have
did
another
you know
Mandalorian
that they're
thing.
what's that?
Tell me you've got another Mandalorian thing.
That's not till later. Come on, that's
That's not,
immediate
that's
madness.
not till later.
You know, come on now.
Oh.
We got to talk about Baby Yoda.
If we don't, there's gonna be some really upset people out there. We have some Baby Yoda fans. Grogu, which
Yep,
I
yeah, you know the name now.
well, it's
That's
because
awesome.
I got told we had a family game
Uh
night
huh.
and we were talking about that because the show come up because that's
Right.
what we talk about, the show. That's
The
important.
sh-
And my future daughter-in-law basically is who she is. We were
right.
talking about Baby Yoda, and she's like, and I was like, he's got the weirdest name. She's like, I love that name. And I was like, Grogu? She's like, it's so badass. I'm like, it's a G name. It's Sash. And she's like,
Uh
my last name starts with a G. I'm like, I stand by my statement. I don't know what to
Well,
do here, but
I
oops.
I just want to meet the first baby that's being named Grogu because
There is
somebody's going to do
nobody
that,
out
right?
there.
I mean,
There is.
that's
There.
got to already have happened. I'm sure that's
Oh,
already have
like
happened.
I know somebody
Yeah.
who named his kid Jordy. And this, I mean, the
Uh
kid's an adult now. It was a long time ago, but he was so into Star Trek. So Jordy
all
LaForge
right. Right.
literally named his kid Jordy,
Yeah.
and I can't remember the middle name. And then the other kid had I mean, but yeah, there's people like that all over the place. So
Yep.
good for
Weird
you.
names.
I can't do it. I can't name my kid. I can't say Grogi. Like I just no.
Grogu. Well, I'm not having any more kids, so I don't have any more names to give out.
You can have a
But
pet. Let's get you a dog and name him Grogu. That would make
I
sense.
would definitely name my dog Grogu. That would be
That'd be awesome. I could see
that
that
would
one.
it'd have to be like a pug or something though, because it couldn't be like a lab
Oh,
because
he's
they're
got like a really big, burly, ugly
yeah
looking dog because it's so
yeah
not the Baby Yoda. It's got to be
right.
completely different. You need that big badass German Shepherd, name it Grogu. People be like, "Whoa, that's serious."
And be like, whoa.
Eats things, folks. It will eat you.
Well, so speaking of stars and that sort of thing, did you know we've got an event coming up this year that's actually pretty awesome? So every 800 years, the stars align and we get this Christmas star. So Jupiter and Saturn will align and create the first Christmas star in nearly 800 years.
So, what does it mean,
So the
Christmas star? It's in air quotes. What is the Christmas star?
Well, so this is it basically the way the light refracts with the alignment of the planets creates those sort of beams that you see, and that's often depicted in the imagery that you see, with Christ, with Christmas, with the birth of Christ, kind of thing. So
Right.
um, yeah, so the alignment is really rare. It occurs every 20 years or so. But this one's rare because the planets will be close to one another, and it's so close to Christmas and all that kind of stuff. So,
So when is that?
um,
When's that going to take?
so it's going to be December. I think it was December 21st. So
Okay,
we
so
we
that's
got a
coming up
little bit of yep, we got a
this
little bit
weekend.
of time.
That's Monday.
Monday,
That
yep.
will,
So
that'll be Monday.
before our next podcast, that'll happen. So hopefully people can get out in the night sky and kind of see this thing happen.
You've got a really great camera if you've got your telescope attached to a camera, send us a pic. That would be awesome. That'd be
Yeah,
stuff.
that means you have to be outside in the cold at night. So I'll let other people do that.
We're outside in their shorts and flip flops. I should know we were the
Yeah. Well, I did go to college in Florida, and so I have this aversion to cold weather now. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
I'll let
agree with you.
other people's do that because you can get really fantastic pictures by looking them up on the internet. So
Yeah, yeah, but
that,
I feel like the experience is not the same, but I get you. I'm okay with
yeah.
that.
So Did you
Mhm.
know that Wichita has got fairly low cost of living? I mean,
Yes.
kind of already knew that it was pretty cheap to live here, but apparently it's rated number two behind El Paso, Texas. So
Really?
didn't realize it was that low. And
Wow.
move.com or move.org did a little bit of a study, and they averaged up a couple of different things here.
I'll be darned.
Utilities, internet, monthly gas, rent for a one bedroom apartment,
And
food,
don't tell the blue states, will you?
right? They didn't really add in taxes and that sort of thing, so I
Yeah,
wonder how these would change. I don't know that we would be quite in the number two spot with the taxes.
well, I'm
Um,
curious because Florida didn't make the list, and I've been listening to Fox News because I can't stand any other news people right
right,
now. And there is a lot of talk about a lot of businesses from the north. That's the northeast part of the country moving into Florida, whereas the west coast is moving into Texas. I'm kind of curious because Texas has got some representation, but Florida is out there with nothing. So I'm
yeah,
kind of
and I mean, I
curious.
lived in
There's
Florida for a long time, and there's no state income tax down there. Property taxes are a little bit higher, but if you fit into any sort of preferred category like a veteran or a senior citizen, then they do give you a break on taxes. So
Hmm.
it'd be interesting, to see the business case for that. But
Yeah, I would because I know what Elon Musk is moving. He is moving his company and his residents to Texas.
right,
Um, oh, Oracle's moving to Texas. There's a couple of companies from New York that are moving down to Florida. So I know Texas is the big move right now, which is
right,
on a whole other hilarious political note. But that's interesting information. But I'm not surprised Wichita is so high up there. I had a friend that moved to Florida recently, and her home here was I don't know $200,000 home in the same close to where you're living at currently. And
right.
her and her family, wanted to move to Florida, and they figured out it was either two and a half times the same. I mean, so they can't afford. I mean, they're going to live in something like Oak Lawn, which is a really
Yeah,
low income housing area in the Wichita,
right.
and so it's it doesn't surprise me. It's really sad that things get up that high. I can see something like Long Beach or Honolulu. There's some desire to live out there because of the weather, because of the beaches, or whatever the tourist attractions are. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that Kansas is here. But what also kind of surprises me is we have the highest import, or we export talent more than we import it in Wichita.
Yeah,
Like
that's been an ongoing problem for several years now, right?
yeah, maybe that's why we're so low. It's such a low. It doesn't say we're a populous place to live in. Just the cost of living is
Right.
low. So maybe there's a
Yeah.
something to that. But
I
um,
thought it was interesting that Mesa, Arizona made number eight on the lowest cost. I always thought that was area was a little more expensive to live.
no,
The
I
ones
would.
on the highest cost of living don't surprise me at all. Those I would have picked pretty much the same.
Yeah, I would have
Um,
been up there with those two.
and
Trying
what's
to see
interesting is Tulsa is more expensive than Albuquerque, Lexington,
more
Tucson.
than Corpus Christi. I'm kind
Yeah,
of surprised at that. I really am. Or Virginia Beach. I'm kind of surprised it's not on the expensive list, to be honest with you.
right. Yeah,
But maybe they figured out if their economy's working well. Good for them. That's
right.
awesome.
Yep. That's all that matters, right?
But
So, and I
even
guess this stuff kind of ebbs and flows, right?
yeah, I'm sure it
Um,
does. It'd be
so
I'd like to get a local economist and get their opinion of it.
yeah, and I think they need to factor in taxes and what are the average wages and those sorts of things. So they certainly could do a little bit more thorough job there.
Yeah, I agree.
Um, but all right, so you ready to crack some politics here? I think you're gonna like this one. So there's a gym owner that is in Wichita here actually, and is suing the state of
Oh,
Kansas over the lockdowns.
good for
And I thought the argument I thought was pretty good. The argument was when they did the shutdown, the state effectively commandeered this person's business, and
oh,
there is a law that states if the state commandeers somebody's business for a purpose, then the state owes that business compensation, right?
uh-oh.
Um, and so that's for things like natural disaster responses, things like that. And so I think it's a really interesting argument. I don't know if it'll stick or not, but it's definitely something that we should kind of keep an eye on, right?
Right. I would. Yeah, because I know there's other places that are really struggling with these lockdowns far more than what Kansas is.
Right,
Uh, but yeah, that's something to think about. I don't think anybody thought about the repercussions of some of these mandates that they put forth, not understanding that they could be held liable for them if they
right.
don't follow the law.
Well,
It's
I here's my prediction, and this won't hold water. And the reason it won't hold water is because if he is successful with this lawsuit, then that will give the case law precedence, and it'll allow other people to sue the state, and the state couldn't afford every business that it shut down to compensate, right?
nope,
So, because the state
not at
would
all.
quickly go broco, even
Well,
more broke than it already is,
I think
right?
this well, and I think the state abused its power by putting the lockdown in place anyway. I think taking away that right, um, I mean, you took away some people's livelihood by taking away their right to make money. And
Right.
they don't have the ability to bounce back like some of these other businesses do. And so I really think there was an abuse of power. And I don't think this will be the only case that we see that gets pursued. I don't know if it'll
Oh
go
yeah.
away, but I think this is going to, it just takes one. And we've talked about that in one of our previous shows. When you get to groupthink, nobody else is stamping out, nobody else is stepping up, nobody else is saying anything. Once the first one does, that's it. It all
Yeah.
falls
It's
like dominoes. And so that
right.
this might put the state of Kansas into some trouble. And I really don't think our governor is getting back her seat next election because of these shenanigans. And Florida
Yeah.
proved it. They have not locked down. They have allowed their people to make good decisions. They've not been a high, um, they've not shown high numbers for COVID in any fashion,
Right.
and they're doing fine. And so I
Yeah.
do believe this is going to cause huge amounts of problems. It was unnecessary, but good
Mm-hmm.
for him. I'm glad he's standing up for himself because a business owner, you've got to. I mean, you got to know the law and maybe
Absolutely.
to work with it and work around it or use it to your advantage and use it to make money. That's the
Yeah.
thing. So hopefully, I hope he comes out on top with this. I really do.
I hope he does too, but I really have my doubts that they'll let this one. They'll let him win. I think the state will try really hard to figure out a way to not let him win
Oh,
because
sure.
I mean, the precedent that this would set would not be just for Kansas; it would be for everybody in the nation.
Yeah.
I mean, this would effectively bankrupt every single state,
Yeah.
and the implications of that would be just incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, most states already run pretty ragged on the financial edge, right?
I don't think we've got
Um,
any budget gurus out there at the state level, so this is not a good thing for state business at all.
well, so
The
what's
states
what's
are they
unique?
go
But
ahead.
what's unique about the states is the states can't print more money. The
Correct.
federal government, when they get broke, they just print more money, right? I mean, that's just how they do it.
Well, they try not to because it devalue every time they print another dollar,
Right,
it devalues the last one, and so they've got to be careful about doing that, which is why you have the Treasury positioned the way that it is, and then the Federal Reserve. Um,
right.
but the states are only given so much money from the federal government. But that's why I think this COVID thing has encouraged unnecessary lockdowns. Because if you're, I bet I'm willing to bet, and I'm sure there's documentation we can get our hands on that if
Mm-hmm.
you exhibit these particular circumstances for XYZ timeline, you'll get
Right.
ABC value in return, be it some sort of financial, windfall or something along those lines, some tax relief or something in return. So I do think
Yeah.
there's a quid pro quo type of thing going on here where governors are encouraged to be like, hey, why don't we take our form of welfare from the federal government, the state, and we'll just
Right.
do this? And people can gripe all they want to. And that's not
Yeah.
what people want. The majority of people want to work. They want to be able to make the choices that they want to make. And they don't want to be told, you can't do that without understanding as a state, we're going to get so many millions of dollars and we're going to give that back to you guys in the form of, blah, 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 blah handout or this
Right.
program or that program. And I think that's why we're going to see a huge shift in trust in politics. Not that we have that great of a one, but the paradigm I think
Yeah.
is going to change dramatically. And you're going to see a lot more
Yeah.
different people running for political offices than what there used to be.
Yeah, I think a lot more people are going to get involved. I mean, I think if anything, this lawsuit will prevent future lockdowns because then the states will
Yeah.
realize, well, yeah, we just can't afford to do that because then we'd have to pay everybody, and that's not going to be an
Right.
option. So maybe it'll just prevent future lockdowns, or and it'll encourage some different behavior at the state level. But
Yeah.
I wish him luck, but I think he's got a tough road to climb there. So,
He's probably pretty emotionally charged right now that he's ready to take that road on too.
oh, I'm sure. The question is, does he have enough buckets of money to throw at lawyers to
You know
make
what?
that happen?
I saw that Facebook group that we mentioned a couple of times, the Unmask Facebook, their anti-masker Facebook group, and
Right.
they've been actually putting together fundraisers and GoFundMe pages to
Mm-hmm.
promote and to sponsor these very court cases and other such causes. So I don't
Right.
think you have to worry about that. I think if he finds the right group, they'll pay his way.
Yeah.
He just has to keep going.
Yeah.
He just needs the energy.
Well, time will tell, right?
That's true.
All
That's
right, let's get our workout on.
It's time to work that career and lift and push and lift and push. You got it. Now harder. Lift and push. It's the career workout.
Oh, I'm still dancing here. Sorry.
I didn't hear anything. It went dead for me. Oh,
So,
did I
the star of our show, when to lead and when to follow. I think when it comes to dancing, I should definitely follow because
I wish I
should not
could
be
have
leading.
seen it. I wish I could have seen it. I was so dead. I switched to this. Yeah, whatever. I always miss the good stuff. I'm always missing out. So yeah, this is a big thing that I read a book that basically was about followership as a form of leadership. And so if you've
Right.
ever been a leader, the article starts off with introducing leadership as not really a title or a position. They call it a power, but not how you would normally think of power, but as a means of inspiring and influencing people. And that's really what leadership is about, is influencing people. In fact,
Right.
Eisenhower he had said that, and I'm going to paraphrase him as best I can, that leadership is about getting people to do what you want them to do because they want to do it. And
Right.
so,
Yeah.
some of the stuff that one of the things that I have said for a number of years, once I really got a grasp of good leadership, is that the number one priority, the number one obligation of any leader is to create leaders. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
it's not so much about leaving behind a legacy as much as it is making sure that whatever you're trying to do, referring back to Simon Sinek's book, The Infinite Game, which is
Mm-hmm.
what business is supposed to be about, you've got to leave somebody behind that knows how to keep the game going. You
Right.
don't want it to end, especially if you're talking about business or your passions and things like that. And so this particular article that I found, which is from, who did this? It is Advisors. It's Stinselli Advisors. I think that's how you say it. You can see the link in the show notes. I can't. Yeah, that's Stinselli. And so she goes into a few things to help you understand if it's time for you to lead your group or if it's time for you to step down and let somebody else take some leadership opportunity. And that's not to say you're going to turn the reins over to somebody in your team or anybody in your team. It's knowing your
Mm-hmm.
strengths and your team's strengths and the weaknesses, being able to utilize those to get the job done. And so she starts off by saying, if all you can see is the status quo, if you can't look beyond that, then you're probably in a position where you need to let somebody else lead who can see beyond the status quo. And that status quo is that thinking of, we've always done it this way. There's no other way to do it. We've done it this way. It's worked this way. But if you're looking to go to the next level and you can't get past that, you might go ahead and give some leadership reins to the person who can see past it, who's got the vision to go beyond the status quo and make some changes. Having a laser focus is great, but if you're focused on the same thing over and over and over again and you can't get out of that narrow-minded type of mentality, it's probably time to let somebody else take over and let them create a new vision, let them give you a new focus, let them broaden your scope. Again, this is not to say you're turning over the reins. It's not you going to, if you're a leader and you've got your boss and you don't, this isn't about going to your boss and saying, I'm done leading, I'm going to let somebody else on my team do it. It's showing your team how to be a leader, getting out of the way and then following them so you can trust them and they can trust you. So it definitely helps the relationship. Motivating others. I've had some really motivating bosses, and then I've had some that I'm like, I mean, I'll do the work, but not because you told me to. I'll do the work because it needs to get done, and I really don't care for you much. And I think we've all had these kind of bosses where they're just not motivating, they're not encouraging. And if you know that the project at hand is going to need somebody to really take a motivational type of leadership role, and you're not prepared to do that for whatever reason, it might be an opportunity to look at some of your other team members who are motivational and do have a passion for the project. Um, it's one thing to fake your passion, and fake your motivation. They're both really hard to do and make look genuine. So if you've got somebody who's got a genuine passion for whatever you're working on, might be best to let them share that passion, and you can still hold everybody accountable. You can still do the managing and the reporting back up through the lines, but giving somebody the opportunity to take the lead on motivating others and getting them to work and get the job done on time is a really great thing. Confidence. This is so huge. If you're not confident, nobody's going to believe you're confident, and they're not going to be confident in you. I know, Chris, you've had leadership responsibilities. I've had them here and there, probably not to the same degree you have. But I know even when I'm just the follower and I've shown confidence, my leader will attach to me, and then we can work through the problem together. But if you know you're not confident in something, and Chris, maybe you can and chime in on this, when you've not had the confidence in something and you're just not sure how to do it, have you had somebody that you could turn to and say, you take the lead on this, tell me how you need support, get the job done?
Yeah, I mean, part of being a good leader is recognizing your boundaries, right? And when
Right.
you when you're at your limit, the only way you're going to grow is by making sure you don't make a fool of yourself and set yourself back, right?
Right.
So, yeah, I think knowing when to reach out and letting somebody else lead is certainly right up there. And,
Mm,
I think, like you mentioned before, developing leaders within your team is also really important, because, in corporate positions or really any job, nobody really plans on being in those jobs forever.
right.
And so you should always be developing somebody to come up behind you. And a good team will be cross trained anyhow, so that anybody on the team can do just about any of the functions, and that makes your team a lot more versatile. And that includes kind of rotating out the leadership duties, right? So
Right.
not making sure you only pick one person. Like if you go on vacation or a trip, usually you'll designate somebody as your backup, or your
Yes.
person that has signature authority. And so what I like to do is I like to kind of rotate that around. Within reason. There's some people that just don't want that responsibility, and that's fine to not force that on them. But certainly for the folks that do, that it's okay to kind of rotate that duties.
Yeah. Yep. So that's that. All of that. Take a look at the article, and I highly recommend reading it. Knowing when to follow is a great leadership quality. You've got to try to figure out a way to get your followers to take the lead and want to take the lead. And some people just are absolutely adamant about not doing it. I've got a friend of mine who's just, nope, I'm not a leader. I have no
Mm-hmm.
intention of being a leader. Actually, I know two people.
Right.
They want no management authority. They want no management responsibility, no leadership, anything. They just want to do their steady Eddie work and go home. And those are great individuals to have too. But you still want to capitalize on their strengths somehow. If they're highly
Right.
organized, utilize that. If they are
Mm-hmm.
good with people, utilize that. So that's the important thing. And I say this because I've had a supervisor who we had really good strength and weakness complements. So where they were strong at, I was weak at, and where I was strong, they were weak. But
Mm-hmm.
they refused to recognize that at the same time. And it ended up being a very volatile, hostile work environment relationship where within a few months, I'm like, I'm out. I just can't.
Yeah.
You're not,
Yeah. I
your
see
job is
that.
to help promote me and it's to help get me to my next level. And if you're not willing to recognize this because it hurts your ego,
Mm-hmm.
you're definitely not meant to be a leader. You need to step aside or find another leadership role where that works better for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely time to move on.
Yeah. But do
Should
they?
we go to career fail?
Failures are fun.
Career fail of the week.
So I know this is a topic that's close to your heart, because I know how much you love micromanagers. I mean, you really, really enjoy micromanagers, right?
I have a special place in my heart for them. There's also a special place in workplace hell for them, in my opinion.
All right, if
So
I can share the right screen here. So this is you. You've got 8 signs of a micromanager and how not to become one.
what was really great about researching this article, right, is when I first started looking for it, the first thing that come up was 25 ways to know you're a micromanager. I'm like, holy crap, there's no way I'll get through all of those. There's so much to
Yeah.
expand on. So you're welcome for narrowing it down from 25 to 20 to then 30 down to 8. So you're all
Well, we
welcome.
all we all certainly owe you a debt of service.
Oh my gosh. So, and the reason I bring this up is that there's always something that happens either within my own work week or somebody else's work week that they come and talk to me about to kind of coach through, if you will. And so this was one of those things that I heard, that as ironic as it is, I heard this in a training bit. And then somebody mentioned something to me about micromanagement. So it's like, this seems like a perfect opportunity. And so micromanagers, they're one of those types where if you can tell, if you know exactly where your boss is at all the time, every day, because they're checking on you that often, you've got a micromanager. That's so you should be paying attention right now. If you have been micromanaged, if you aren't sure you're a micromanager, if you can't without hesitation say no, I'm not one you should probably listen to, because you might be, you never know. But so
Yeah.
this covers 8 of the numerous ways to tell if you're a micromanager, right? And so the first one is you want to be CC'd on every email that your team sends out. And let me tell you, if you have to be CC'd on every email your team sends out, there is something wrong with your team or you. Either you're not training your team to know how to communicate internally/externally, or you have no trust, which means your team doesn't trust you. If
Yeah,
you can't
I
trust
think
your team,
that's the second one's
you're gonna-
most common, right? Where you
right.
just don't trust anybody. And
Yep.
yeah, I think that's really common.
I do too, and I've known somebody who used this tactic as a form of, I don't, you've proven to me you can't be trusted to communicate. Now put me on everything so I can see what you're saying. Versus if you have any questions, if you're not sure, I noticed some conversations had gone out. Let me help you with this. And so if you
Right.
can't have a conversation with somebody else without your boss being involved, or if you won't let your employees do that, there's something wrong. And I bet you anybody who does this, I'm willing to bet, has a high turnover rate within their team. I can almost guarantee it, because that's not an okay thing. And so you can get into this article and read more, but it'll give you some breakdown as to what each of these tips are and then how to turn it around. And so one of the ways to turn around this particular tip is it goes into more about training on how to exchange emails, how to speak through emails, email etiquette, that sort of thing. But what it really comes down to is trust. If you can't trust your team, you're hiring the wrong people, or you are the wrong leader. The next one is afraid to lose control. This can be really tricky. In project management, you're taught to monitor and control projects. And so that can easily get out of hand. But if you're controlling every single thing that your people do, again, we're back to trust, and we're back to, you're driving yourself crazy. If you're constantly worried about who has a handle on what, you're checking on every single little thing they do. If they tell you, if you're telling your employees, hey, be sure you take care of XYZ event, be on the lookout for this communication or this particular milestone, and then you see that it happens and you're immediately on your employee to get it taken care of, then you've got a control issue you need to take care of. And so that's a good way to get your people to realize that you don't trust them, or you don't like them, and you don't want them around, and they'll take off on you. Again, this is a good way to create high turnover. And there's a way to make sure that your people are being on top of stuff. If you've got a centralized area for communication, like, project management systems will offer a great way to, exchange data about projects or tasks, task management programs. There's all kinds of stuff out there. So you don't have to continually check on your employees day in and day out. You can relax a little bit. You do work that isn't yours. This is a big pet peeve of mine. If you assign me something and then you go off and do it on your own, you can imagine I'll be looking for another job very quickly, because this tells me that you'll tell me it's a nice thought. I'll tell you to do this, but I'm going to turn around and do it behind your back before you have a chance to do it. And this is not an okay practice in terms of leadership whatsoever. If you delegate a responsibility, let your people screw it up before you take it over. Give them a chance to at least try it out, learn lessons. If it's a project you can't have any mistakes on, you can't have any huge follies with, then, take your employee with you along the way and show them how to do it. Use it as a training opportunity, but don't consistently do the work for other people. They'll never be able to work for you, and then you'll be giving them bad reviews on productivity.
Yeah. So we're running kind of short of time. Let's just kind of
larger one.
Let's just roll through the rest of these. You discourage independent decision making. You talk the most at every meeting. You dictate everything. Number 6. Number 7, you expect regular reports. And number 8, your team has consistently high turnover. So you hit the nail on the head with the turnover thing there. I think just lots of good tips in this article. I do think that articles like this are kind of like, when you're not feeling good and you go on WebMD and you try and diagnose yourself. And 30 minutes after you're on
Right.
WebMD, you're convinced that you're going to die tomorrow of some crazy disease that you don't actually have, right? So
Right.
I think you need to be a little bit careful with this because, you expect regular reports. I think that's pretty common now in corporate America is, reporting up through the chain of command and things like that. So that doesn't necessarily mean that you're a micromanager. To me, where you're a micromanager is you're sort of controlling every little bit that your team does, and you don't give them, any autonomy to make their own decisions, to empower them to make decisions. I think as a good manager, your job is to do, 2 primary things. You give them stuff to do, and then you clear out obstacles so that they can do that stuff, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and if you're involved too much in doing the work for them, you either have an employee that's not competent in what you're asking them to do, which is not good,
Right.
or you're a micromanager, right? So I think that these are a little bit complicated, and there's certainly things that basically, if you just take this article for what it is, you're going to diagnose yourself as a micromanager when maybe that's not the case, right?
Gotta be careful with it. I think that's why you would go through the article and see the takeaways, and it's a lot better than the 25. It would have taken forever to get through the 25 signs of micromanagement,
Yeah.
but they're all
Well, it
there,
took us long enough to get through the first couple. So,
right?
yeah, I think it's a great article. It's certainly something to be aware of, and it's certainly a good area for career growth.
Right.
Um, yeah. So let's do some IT stuff.
Let's talk tech. You're in the IT corner.
So, of course, with moving, I got a chance to buy some new gadgets for the house.
Of
Uh,
course.
right. And one of those gadgets that I got was a new vacuum. And what's
Did you get a
interesting is what's that?
Did you get a Roomba or Rumba? What are those?
I did not get a Roomba. I looked at those, but they're kind of expensive, and I'm not really sure they do a fantastic job. I think they do an okay job, but I don't know. Maybe in a year or so I'll get a Roomba. But I had my carpets cleaned in the old place that I was renting, and I was talking to the guy that was the steam cleaner guy, and he kept going on about the Shark vacuums and how he's had commercial vacuums, and the Sharks pick up better than some of the commercial models, and he's bought like 3 different ones of the one he showed me. So I was at Costco and ended up picking up the Shark SC351 rocket corded ultra lightweight vacuum with 0M anti-hair warp technology, XL dust cup, hand vacuum mode, and swivel steering plum purple. That's and I did not pay $201. It was, I think, $130 at Costco. So much better deal at the Costco than on the Amazons. But this is a fun little vacuum. It's definitely different from what I had. I had a regular upright
Right.
vacuum before. But man, let me tell you, this thing it's got some suction. I mean, it
Yeah.
was. I've got a little, a carpet that's over some hardwood floor, and I mean, it was moving the carpet. It was, sucking it so hard. So I was really impressed. It's kind of, it's easy to use. It's lightweight. I kind of debated on doing the corded versus the cordless, and
Yeah.
ultimately I decided to go with the corded because it's cheaper and I didn't want to have to mess with batteries going dead and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
So
I bought a Shark recently too. My kids and I burned up our old vacuum, which was a lower end vacuum. Because then
right.
we bought when we first moved in, and because we did not have carpets in the old house, and we have them everywhere here. And we
Hmm.
bought something that was not a Shark, and it within a year we burned up the motor. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
For reals?
Yeah.
Can't figure out what happened, but we did. And so I bought a Shark, and I had I think I'd owned a Shark a few years ago when I had carpet in my old place before I ripped it out, and bought the
Right.
Shark this time. And I'm like, whoa, like
Yeah.
it's
They've gotten really good.
oh my gosh, yeah. And I mean, I've never owned a Dyson, but I had somebody say the Dyson wasn't worth it. And she preferred a Shark to a Dyson, and
Hmm.
I love it. I kind of want a vacuum. It's like I know how this carpet's going to look when I'm done. This will be like that
Yeah.
instant gratification button gets hit because I can see
Right.
the change, and they are really really good. And they'll suck up everything, and they've the one I have, you can just empty the canister right out without any problem. Versus
Yep, that's how this one is. What I really like about this one is it just has a button to go from hardwood floors to carpet.
yeah,
Whereas my old vacuum, I had to, kind of get down and you have a lever to flip on the bottom of it, and I just thought that this was a lot more convenient. So, I moved into a new house, new carpet, all that kind of stuff. So far, nothing's really too dirty, but I did use it on the hardwood floor and on this old carpet that I had, and I was really impressed on how much it got up. So if you're looking for a vacuum, definitely check out the Sharks and let us know what you think because it's incredible. There are just gabillions of models to pick from now. It's a
I know.
really amazing how much variety there is for something as simple as a stupid vacuum
Well, they're
cleaner.
just supposed to suck. I mean, how hard can it be?
Yeah, you have one job, and that's to
One
suck.
job.
You had one job. All
Nice.
right, let's do some media madness.
Welcome to Media Madness.
So, what
Gotta,
do you have anything for tonight? I noticed you didn't have anything in the notes. Are you
I
desperately looking around your office for a book
I
to
had
review
it.
for tonight?
Well, I was gonna tease something, and now I need to find the book.
Uh huh.
Do yours.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. It was right here. My kids,
It's more fun to watch you squirm.
I know, it's like my kids must have been in my office. I've had some really weird happenings in my office. Like my laptop
Uh
will be
huh.
closed when I know I didn't close it. It'll be shifted slightly to one side. I'm like, who's been in my office? They're
Mm.
like, none of us. Or my armchairs are always up, and they
Sure.
stop it. They've
Mm-hmm.
no.
You have
It's
children or ghosts, one of the two.
well, I mean, anything's possible. It's here. Where did I put it? You go. I'll be right there. I can hear you.
Well, I need you to talk about what I'm going to talk about. Well, of
Oh
course,
no, because I
I've
don't think.
got the Mandalorian because we've now
Oh
made a habit here. We have to talk about this at every show, right?
gosh, again? You're killing me.
Uh huh.
Oh, you're killing me,
Oh
Smalls.
yeah.
You're killing
I
me.
love it. Love
You,
it. The Mandalorian,
you're,
Star Wars, all
you're
that
gonna,
good stuff.
you're gonna make me crazy.
So, a
I'm.
little bit of spoiler alert. The latest episode of The Mandalorian, which came out last Friday, it's a little unique in the fact that it's the first episode in this two seasons so far that doesn't show Baby Yoda.
That's a bad
So,
thing. That's bad.
well, it's interesting. They actually kind of keep it going, and it's not boring at all, and you don't really even. To me, I didn't even really miss Baby Yoda in this episode. I think if it goes on for a couple more episodes, I'm definitely going to miss me some Baby Yoda time.
Oh
But
no.
no, this was really good. It was a good episode. As always, they've done a fantastic job with these. They're wildly entertaining, and they do stay within the Star Wars canon. So they're inventing stuff a little bit, but they're not going so far out of context that you're like, yeah, that's not even Star Wars anymore, right? They're
Right.
sort of expanding the universe, which is pretty cool, I think.
So what do you mean by they're expanding the universe? What? How much further can they expand this thing?
Well, I mean, Star Wars could milk this thing, or Disney could start milk this Star Wars thing for years to come. I mean, probably, they just announced this week they're doing new shows based on different things. I forget how many shows it was, but it was quite a lot. It was maybe 12 or something like that. Maybe one of the listeners out there can tell us the exact number. But they're going to do a bunch of different spin-off shows within the Star Wars universe, and not necessarily centered
Right.
around the Jedi or any of the core, Star Wars stuff from the original movies. So, I mean, I think it's pretty cool. They've got, the Star Wars world kind of now at the Disney parks.
Right.
I'm looking forward to going to those, someday. But yeah, I think it's just good, wholesome stuff all the way around.
Nice. I need to.
You were,
I've had my cousin tell me over and over again, I need to watch that stinking thing. And
I'm telling you,
I keep
we should
forgetting.
watch it. If Disney wouldn't send us like a cease and desist letter, we could watch it Mystery Science Theater style, where we had our shadows in the corner
Right.
and we can just do our running commentary.
That is hilarious. I'm loading the link. It's not what I want to do. I had the dang book and I'm sending my daughter after it. It might be in my room. I thought it was in here. So I was going to tease this a little bit because I heard back. Come on, load. It's going to click link so you know what to do. It's in there now, so you should be able to bring it up. Come back to
you're
the
gonna
video.
make me pick it up.
Not well. You can pull the link.
I've got to do all the work here. Make me do all the hard work.
Well, I don't have.
Are you micromanaging me? I can't really tell.
No, that it's not in the. She's just walked in.
You said how you were to take it.
Yeah, no, I thought for sure it was back in the. I thought we put it back into the bookshelf. I must not be. I have to be.
All right. Well, I got the link here. We can pull the link up. Let's do that.
So, very interesting kind of stuff. I had featured this book a little while ago on a previous one of our episodes, and I've been following this guy for a long time. We're on Twitter together, and we'll tweet back and forth about things and like each other's posts, whatever, but we've never actually engaged in a one-to-one conversation. And so after this book, I got the idea. It's like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to him and see what happens. And I reached out to him and said, hey, I featured your book on our show. How would you feel about coming on the show and talking about the book? And he hopped on the opportunity. So
Yay.
he is
so we're going to have our first interview.
We are
Coming
we're trying to get it scheduled up and together. So it's probably going to be after Christmas, possibly after the first of the year. God, I really want to find that dang book now because I'm so excited about it. 'Cause I actually have it. I'm reading it. And so I've read the first few chapters, and I'm really in kind of in awe of how he came about to where he's at today. So he kind of just took one of those it was almost like an epiphany, like he flipped a switch. And it's like, what am I doing? Forget this.
Mm-hmm.
And he took off. And so his name is Travis Barton. He worked basically in corporate America for a while right after college or whatever, and just decided, nope, not me. And so he had to come on our show with us and let us kind of pick his brain and tell us about his book and go through the motions. So we'll look like, like we're actually like interviewers. Cool. We're going to look all professional and stuff. So I wanted to bring that back up as the media madness thing to tease it up a little bit and get everybody excited about seeing a real live author.
Nice. All right.
He's published.
Cool.
He's out there. He's on Amazon. That book was not on Amazon before when we did the show, so it's grown in popularity. So that's awesome. And now he self-published this book, so he didn't have anybody really backing him in terms of you write the book, we'll publish it for you. It was you write the book, you go out and publish it. There's lots of books out there to tell you how to get your work published in a hardback form. So what he did is he had to go out and he had to sell 750 of his books before.
Oh, wow. That's a lot of books.
I don't know 750 people to go out and sell my book to when I get it finished. And
maybe like 7 people I could probably hawk a book to.
Yeah,
750 is going to be that's going to be hard.
Because he reached somebody like me who just followed him, mindlessly on social media, and that's how he did it. So he's a definite good representation of how things are possible. But you have to have a good mindset. You've got to be willing to engage. You've got to be able to take the steps. So I'm really anxious to get him on here and talk with him and introduce him to our audience and get
Awesome.
hopefully we can get some comments while he's on the show and
Yeah,
get
that
some,
would be great.
yeah, I'm really excited about it. So I just wish I had the dang book and
You're going to find it as soon as we go
I
offline.
know it's like, oh, there it is. And then I'm going to be so mad.
Speaking of comments, either our comments are broken or nobody's commenting because I don't see anything coming in.
Our normals, our little regulars are not in there. We have our BAM Nation is kind of
They bammed out. They're gone.
Oh, what in the world? So we'll have to. I'll hunt you guys down after the show and figure out where you were because I know better. I mean, 2 of them I know 3 of them I know personally. So you have some explaining to do, Lucy's. Figure out what's going on.
Oh, is that what you're are you paying these commenters to come on here?
No, but I may have to now if they're going to be this way about it. It may just be one of those Wednesday nights strange things.
Yeah, and I think we're getting closer to the holidays and people are off doing things and
yeah.
Yep, definitely odd time of the year. Well, should we wrap this thing up?
We probably should. I mean, if we want to go to bed tonight, otherwise,
I would like to go to bed at some point. I'm tired. I'm still sore from moving. Holy cow.
You rest. Oh
man.
Well, we thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Biz and Mayhem podcast. If you like what you heard, send us a little love by posting a review on iTunes, and don't forget to send us a few bucks on Patreon or PayPal. We're going to love you forever because making a podcast is not free. To get the show notes for this episode, head over to bizandmayhem.com. That's bizandmayhem.com and look for season 1, episode 20. You can subscribe to the show on iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts. So until next time, have some fun in the mayhem. Good night, you guys.
Well, we'll see you later. Have fun in the mayhem. The Biz and Mayhem podcast is produced by Check 6 Creative Studio. If you have a podcast or have been wanting to start one, let us know. We'd love to help you produce and edit your podcast. We'd also love to work with your business on marketing and video production. Visit us on the web at check6studio.com. That's CheckSixstudio.com. Let us know you heard about us on the Biz and Mayhem podcast.